All right, everybody, welcome back. Good late morning. Hope you guys are continuing to do well today. And earlier today, we covered some options for signing a high-end nose tackle. And again, that term is very relative because nose tackles, there might be two or three guys that are considered to be at the top of the position at any given time. And then after you get past that, there's a pretty significant fall off and players become pretty affordable pretty quickly. So the previous video kind of covered the guys that I would consider to be high-end starters relative to the position. This video is more like the moderate starters. These are some nose tackle guys who have a decent amount of nose tackle experience who will cost more than 2 million but less than 4 million, which doesn't sound like a lot of money. That sounds like, a number four wide receiver or a number three running back on some teams, but for nose tackle, that's actually starter money. It's just not that valued of a position anymore, and they don't play enough. They don't play on the big leverage downs, they play on the early downs. So you can get a pretty good player for cheap here. So the options as I see it in this realm are TJ Slayton. Most people call him TJ Slayton. I guess that's his moniker that he goes by. This is a bigger guy. Fifth round pick of the Packers back in 2021. Played there for 4 years, played in every game, put up some pretty decent numbers. He's been a full-time starter these last 2 years, and now he's looking to get paid. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Pro Football Focus, not a fan of his 2024 in the slightest, and also kind of a big fan of his 2023. So, as you guys know, when I see something like this, I like to try to compare it to the positional data. Does seem like he benefited from getting to play more nose tackle in 2023 compared to having more free tech snaps in 2024. So it does seem like there's something there where he tried to do more three tech stuff and maybe it didn't go so well. I mean, as a three tech, you would expect him to get more sacks, right? He only had one sack all year and he played in every game. So four pressures in 17 games, even if you're not playing a ton of snaps, and he played, over 420, like you would expect a little bit better than that, right? So TJ Slayton clearly meant to be a nose tackle if these numbers mean much of anything. And it seems like he's pretty good in that role. So Spotrac has a page for him, by the way. 1 year, $3.8 million. So starter money for a nose tackle. It's not bad. Not a bad option. He's a bigger guy, too. Somebody that McDonald might like if he appreciates that sort of thing. So TJ Slayton's going to be one of the initial options to look at, I think, here. Next up would be Roy Lopez of the Cardinals, formerly a Houston Texans draft pick. Went to Arizona these last 2 years under Gannon. And this, I mean, for a guy who was undrafted, he has played a lot of football over the last 4 years. He has started 50 games. He has played in 63. So he gives you quite a bit, considering the fact that he was an undrafted rookie free agent. So good for him. The numbers are fine. Not anything unexpected for a nose tackle type. Now, Pro Football Focus, not a big fan of his 2024. They thought he was slightly below average, but manageable, workable. And the previous year, 2023, they thought he was above average. They liked him. 54th out of 215. Pretty decent. So it seems like he is about an average nose tackle, which makes sense because he's probably going to be looking for an average amount of money. Botrack says 1 year, 3.5. 1 year, 3.5 million for Roy Lopez. Doesn't seem too bad to me. I'm not against it. Again, this is a guy who is probably going to provide value only in that one tech role. Now, if we take a look at his size, it is a little bit bigger than some of the guys we looked at earlier today, but still not big, right? 320 is, 320 pounds is bigger than a typical three tech, but there are definitely bigger nose tackles. So, at the end of the day, it's going to be up to McDonald, right? And he's about to turn 28. So he should be in his prime. So not a bad idea. I don't think this guy's done enough to earn a multi-year deal, but I wouldn't hate giving him like 2 years, 7 million either. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. especially if it's basically a 1-1 where the second year is contingent on him playing really well in the first. So maybe not bad. Adam Butler. Adam Butler. This is kind of a tough one here. So Adam Butler, long time, well, not long time, but decent chunk of time with the Patriots, played a lot there, won a Super Bowl there, went to Miami for a year, took a year off from football, and then the last 2 years he's played on the Raiders. Now here's the thing with Adam Butler. He was a nose tackle a significant amount of the time his first 5 years in the league. He played at least 200 snaps in the A-gap every season in the first 5 years of his career. So more than 1,000 A-gap snaps. It was like 1,100 or something like that. Might have been closer to 1,200. After he came back, not so much. The last 2 years, he's played a grand total of 180 A-gap snaps. And unlike somebody like TJ Slayton, he's actually kind of shown that he can do it. He's gotten 10 total sacks over the last 2 years. So he upped his pass rushing production, or not necessarily upped it, because he was a pretty decent pass rusher even when he was playing a lot of nose tackle, but he showed that he can do it. So my concern with Adam Butler would be a couple things. Number one, is he just a 3-tech now? Has he decided in his old age he's going to be a 3-tech because being a nose tackle means you take more of a beating, and he doesn't want to put that on his body now that he's 30, and he's about to be 31, by the way. Two, is somebody going to pay him like a 3-tech? Because the 3-techs get paid more. So a guy like Adam Butler in a nose tackle role, you might be given $3 million for 1 year. If he's a 3-tech, you might give him $5 million, because that is considered a more valuable set of skills. And also, beyond all that, for whatever it's worth, Pro Football Focus, they thought he was average last year. The numbers are good, right? He has 6 sacks, but the PFF grade's average. Year before that, pretty average. And the year before that, this was the last time he was playing a lot of nose tackle. It was below average. So it's not like you're getting anything stellar here. And you take a look at Spotrac, and I'm not saying their projection's always going to be spot on here. They do think he's going to get a 2-year deal. Now, it's only going to be about $3 million per year. Not even $3 million. It's going to be $2.9 million per, so 5.7. Okay, that's still pretty cheap. But I'm wondering if this guy gets boosted value because people look at him and go, hey, that's a 3-tech. And maybe he can be both. And if he's both, then maybe that gets pushed up to $5 million a year, $6 million a year. And if you're a Seahawk fan, if you're a Seahawk front office member, you can't really chase that because you don't need the 3-tech stuff because of the way your roster's laid out. So a little bit of an interesting one here with Adam Butler. I tried to cover it the best that I could, but it's tricky. We don't even know if he can do a lot of nose tackle stuff anymore. He's played 17 games over the last 2 years, 34 games, and he's played 185 or so nose tackle snaps. So what are we doing there? What are we doing with that? That's how many snaps per game? That's not even 6 nose tackle snaps per game. In the previous years, he was giving you at least 10 a game. At least. All right. So that's Adam Butler. There's one more guy I want to look at here. This one's also kind of tricky because his career has been so odd. It's Eddie Goldman. Eddie Goldman, formerly of the Bears. Most recently of the Falcons, actually. But this guy spent some time with the Bears. He was there that year. They had the number 1 defense with Khalil Mack. He was there for a long time as a pretty reliable nose tackle force. And then he sat out the COVID year. And then he came back for a year and didn't seem to play that well. And didn't seem to be what people remembered him. Then he retired and was out of the league for 2 years. And then he came back and played for the Falcons in 2024. So that is a weird career. And it's hard to know what you're going to get out of him at this point. It doesn't seem like he's been the same since COVID. Last year, his PFF grade pretty bad. 49.3, not anything you're encouraged about. He didn't play a lot either, so it's not like he was tired. Well, maybe he was tired, but if he is tired, that's really bad. That's even worse. Year before that, the last year he played 2021 after COVID, He was one of the worst ranked players in the league. And again, he didn't play that much. 336 snaps. So 39.8 with limited playing time. And this was years ago. It seems like maybe his best years are behind him. You have to go back to 2019 to find a year when he was actually rated good by Pro Football Focus. They rated him good that year. They liked what they saw there, and he was playing a decent amount more. But it's been a long time since the NFL has seen a generally considered efficient and effective Eddie Goldman. And again, maybe you don't trust Pro Football Focus. If you don't, then you don't. I get that. But when it comes to nose tackle stuff, I think they generally do fairly well. So he's probably just at a point in his career where there's only so much he can give you. I mean, he's only 31, right? He's only 31, but there has to be some reason why he was out of football for 2 years and then came back and didn't seem to play that well. Botrack gives him 1 year, 2.3 million. I don't know why anybody would go over 1 year, 2 million for him. You're basically paying by the pound because he's big. There's like no other reason to give him money. I don't know why you, like, maybe you don't even go over veteran minimum. But either way, I guess maybe it might work as a backup if you don't believe in Cam Young anymore and you just want him to be a backup to whatever starter nose tackle you get. Or you just want to go really cheap at the position because you genuinely don't care. Some teams do that. But there doesn't seem to be very much blood left in this stone. I'll put it to you that way. All right. That's it for this one. We've got one more nose tackle video on depth guys. Guys who are going to be even cheaper than this, I believe. Eddie Goldman, you're still paying him like a low-end starter. It's not great, but this is low-end starter money. See you guys later. Go Hawks with the depth guys.